life as a kind of gift to the nation as a whole.
An incredible gift. That is the CBS Weekend News for this Saturday. First thing tomorrow, Sunday morning with Jane Pauley, followed by Face the Nation. Among Margaret Brennan's guests, Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Israeli Ambassador Michael Herzog. For now, I'm Adriana Diaz in Washington. Good night.
Next on KCAL News on CBS Los Angeles. Security stepped up around local temples after the deadly attack in Israel. See what's being done to keep LA's Jewish community safe.
Plus, Governor Newsom makes his decision on whether or not to decriminalize magic mushrooms in California.
And good evening. All right, we're starting to see some cloudy conditions, some fog across our region. We have some big changes as we head into the next few days. I'll have your forecast next.
And you're looking live at Dodger Stadium, where fans are excited for Game 1 of the National League Division Series.
Those stories, sports, and any breaking news next at 6 and streaming on CBS News Los Angeles.
Breaking news now on KCAL News at 6. 5 people wounded in a shooting in Englewood. SkyCal over the scene at Manchester and 11th, just a couple of blocks from SoFi Stadium.
We're told that all 5 victims were taken to a hospital with gunshot wounds. No word tonight on their conditions. We are working to find out more, and we will update you when new information comes into the newsroom.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Tom Wade.
And I'm Serene Branson. Our other top story tonight, Israel declares war against Hamas after a surprise attack from Gaza overnight. Hamas fired thousands of rockets, followed by a coordinated land and sea attack against Israel during a major Jewish holiday. Israel responded with a deluge of airstrikes after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared war. Hundreds of people on both sides have been killed. Military commanders say a number of Israeli soldiers and civilians have been captured and taken into Gaza.
You know, many people have died already, and we hear about people being kidnapped and taken either from the military base or even from the home.
Tensions have been high between Israel and the Palestinians in recent months. Israel is now calling up thousands of reserves for what could be one of the bloodiest conflicts in decades. And the attack against Israel drew quick and strong reaction from leaders here in the U.S. As KCAL News reporter Christian Benavides reports, Biden said the U.S. will always stand with Israel.
Reaction from across the political spectrum following that deadly surprise attack overnight by Hamas against Israel. President Joe Biden, who met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just last month, said the two spoke this morning and reiterated U.S. commitment to Israel's security.
Israel has the right to defend itself and its people. Full stop.
Out on the campaign trail, former President Donald Trump, the leading GOP candidate, also addressed the attack.
The Israeli attack was made because we are perceived as being weak and ineffective and with a really weak leader.
Republicans have been critical of the Biden administration over a prisoner swap deal with Iran earlier this year, which lifted a freeze on $6 billion of Iranian funds. Iran's supreme leader congratulated Hamas fighters for launching this morning's attack.
Of course, Iran funds Hamas. The Biden administration's made that a lot easier.
Biden administration officials have said the suggestion that the U.S. provided funds to Iran is not true, that the funds available to Iran haven't been spent yet, and when that happens, they can only be used for food and medicine. Christian Benavides, KCAL News.
Reaction here at home to the violence has also been strong, including a beefed-up police presence around local houses of worship. KCAL News reporter Lauren Posen spoke with the American Jewish Federation about the conflict.
Los Angeles is home to the second largest Jewish community in the United States. Many people here have friends and family in Israel.
Worship. KCAL News reporter Lauren Posen spoke with the American Jewish Federation about the conflict.
Los Angeles is home to the second largest Jewish community in the United States. Many people here have friends and family in Israel who they haven't been able to connect with because communications are so poor. One woman told me she's trying hard not to look at the videos that come out, but has to just to see if her loved ones are in there. There's a great feeling of helplessness added with anxiety and uncertainty as these developments unfold.
What is occurring and unfolding, the horror, and we are not fearful. We are not in any way going to shrink from proudly and publicly identifying and being Jewish, because that is our right in America.
With it being Shabbat and a high holiday, everyone in the Jewish community is on high alert. That's why police are stepping up their presence around Jewish institutions. Los Angeles Police Chief Michael Moore says officers will also be patrolling Muslim communities as well.
We want to ensure all of our communities that we're aware of these, we're tracking these events, and we're here to ensure that no one activates or becomes takes this instance as some opportunity to attack here.
Local organizations are also in the process of putting together events as soon as tomorrow for people to come out and show their support. Reporting in the Mid-Wilshire District, Lauren Posen, KCAL News.
And we, of course, will continue to follow the developments out of the Middle East and have the latest throughout the night on KCAL News.
And now to our weather and our unseasonably warm temperatures. It's been downright hot today.
KCAL meteorologist Olga Ospina joins us with your next weather forecast. Tom took a little lap around the building between the 5 and the 6. He said it is still hot outside here in Studio City, Olga.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's been a hot weekend. It's been a hot last stretch of weather, and things are coming to an end, though. This is going to be the last of the really hot days. Tomorrow still warm, but numbers start to drop. Also want to show you some changes already, because look at what is happening along the coastline. We're starting to see some low clouds and fog moving in, and you'll see that a little bit more pronounced as we head into tomorrow. But yes, numbers are still very hot, especially as we head inland, with still some 80s and low 90s in Santa Clarita, into Claremont, San Bernardino at 93. We have low 90s in Temecula, Hemet, 100 degrees in Palm Springs. We'll show you some changes. Again, that cooling trend starts tomorrow, and bigger changes for the new work week. All that in just a few minutes. Back to you.
Several hallucinogens, including psychedelic mushrooms, will continue to be illegal in California. Governor Gavin Newsom today vetoed a bill that would have decriminalized them. He said more research is needed and that certain guidelines should be put in place first, like dosing information, rules to prevent patients from being exploited, and therapeutic guidelines. If he signed the bill, it would have only meant people couldn't have been arrested for possessing limited amounts of the drugs. It would not have legalized the sale of them. And Governor Newsom did sign a bill that will ban several chemicals used in popular candies like Peeps and other foods. One of those chemicals is known as red dye number 3. It's been linked to cancer and it is already banned in other countries.
Well, let's take a live look outside at Dodger Stadium, where the boys in blue are getting ready for their first game of the postseason tonight. They'll be taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks in the National League Division Series. Fans are arriving, ready to get to their seats and cheer on their team.
I predict that we'll definitely take care of business because our team's very strong, and that's what I expect today.
We're here to support, so I think they're going to win the series.
Of positive thinking.
That's right.
And there will be quite a show to see above the stadium tonight. 2 U.S. Marine F-35 jets will do a low-level, high-speed flyover just before the start of the game.
Fingers crossed,
yes,
right?
Yep.
Boys will get it done. All right, Kaiser workers off the picket line. But for how long? Ahead, the threat of another strike.
Then a mosquito bite can be more than just itchy. We're going to hear from a woman who has been in the hospital for weeks after she was bitten.
Yikes. And a symbol to address the issue of deadly speeding in L.A., a family's mission to make our roads safer. That's next. A memorial in Englewood today for 2 people killed in a car crash by a drunk driver during a police pursuit. The Ghost Tire Memorial honors Ryan Davis and Asia Boatwright. They were T-boned in 2021 by a driver who ran a stop sign going more than 80 miles per hour. Ryan and Asia's families have become road safety advocates and are putting up the 2 ghost tires to raise awareness of the growing problem.
We need laws to help everyone, because I don't want you, or anyone out here to have to go through what I went through.
How many families have to go through all of this?
Ghost tires were created by the group Streets Are For Everyone. The group says more than 840 people lost their lives last year from these senseless and preventable crashes.
Kaiser workers are back on the job today now that the three-day strike is over. Hospital officials said that they're glad to have their employees back, but that the union warned that there could be another strike if an agreement can't be reached. Bargaining teams are reportedly still meeting with a large negotiation session expected on Thursday. Workers have been demanding higher pay. Their three-day strike was believed to have been the largest strike ever of healthcare workers.
All right, one woman's story may be enough to convince you to put on plenty of mosquito repellent. Still ahead, why her bites have put her in the hospital for weeks.
But first, one of South LA's main corridors shut down as the community fights back against crime and blight. Why they believe the city has left them behind.
And good evening. All right, an evening outside after a very hot day. We're starting to see the fog develop across some of our coastal areas and some big changes for the new work week. I will have your forecast coming up next.
Reclaiming their communities. That was the goal of a rally today in South LA. Community leaders say since the LA riots in 1992 and even before, South LA neighborhoods have been ignored and neglected. They say the solution is new investment and a plan to transform properties that have become a magnet for crime. So we tell them. A rally along Figueroa in South LA with calls for local business owners and city leaders to prioritize transforming neighborhoods in the area.
Today we're here uniting community around freeing the land.
Patricia Guerra is the senior director at Community Coalition. She says the focus of the rally is on what they call nuisance properties. They say are a magnet for crime and drugs. Community leaders want the properties sold and transformed.
We believe that, in the last 30 years, and even more than 30 years, is that we have had businesses such as like the motels that are contributing to the crime and violence that we see in the community.
Our mission today is to let our voices be heard, to inform the motel owners that we need them to the things that we need that other communities have, such as senior housing, parks, green spaces, job training centers, and just a safe place to live.
Rally organizers say there needs to be more accountability and a focus on communities of color.
We've just seen broken promises of the city saying that they're going to invest in our community on black and brown people. And so we see this as a day, or also like it's a day of racial justice.
The challenges COVID-19.
When we also experience the pandemic, our folks are also continuing to struggle with housing. They're also continuing to struggle with issues related to like mental health.
Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson represents these communities. He says his office has set up a multi-jurisdictional task force to disrupt trafficking on Figueroa. He says their approach is to hold businesses who do not comply with the law accountable and to aggressively pursue traffickers. Former LA City Councilman Gil Cedillo is suing the LA County Federation of Labor for invasion of privacy, claiming the union ruined his reputation. You may recall Cedillo was heard on a secret recording that was filled with racist language. It was recorded at the Federation's office. The LA Times reports that in the lawsuit, Cedillo says the conversation was recorded without his knowledge and has cost him potential jobs. He also claims some of the statements were improperly translated from Spanish slang and that he did not make offensive statements. Cedillo is asking for punitive, compensatory, and general damages. The Federation says it's not commenting on the lawsuit.
LA County has already seen at least one death this year from the West Nile virus. Health officials say it is a reminder to protect ourselves from mosquitoes, which are especially bad after our rainy winter. Most people who get West Nile recover quickly. But Brady Helbleib from CBS Sacramento talked to one woman who's been in the hospital for weeks.
I'm really determined to be able to use them as much as possible and reduce the pain and walk again.
Susan Corey never thought she'd be in the hospital fighting an illness caused by such a small insect.
I've been in the hospital for 4 weeks because I got bit by a mosquito.
Corey was diagnosed with West Nile virus on September 11th, but her symptoms began several days before, starting with a fever and muscle spasms in her legs.
I did think that I was just dehydrated. I thought, wow, I mean, how did I dehydrate myself that bad?
It wasn't until she fell while walking to the bathroom when her husband took her to the emergency room, where she would later be diagnosed with the virus. She has been there ever since.
But I didn't really know much about it, like how it affected people.
A wet winter has primed Valley for a high mosquito year, meaning more chances for West Nile to pop up. Right now, there are 169 cases in California. Most people who contract the virus don't have symptoms, and for those who do, usually recover fairly quickly. But not for everyone. 1 in every 150 people will develop serious symptoms.
And this can be anything from partial paralysis to pain, such as neurologic pain, neuropathy. And some patients can actually die from West Nile virus. So it's not to be taken lightly.
Corey still has a long road ahead of her, and with mosquito season ending mid-fall, she wants to caution others now.
But it's here, and it's in our neighborhoods.
That was Brady Halbleib reporting. Now, symptoms of West Nile include fever, muscle aches, and tiredness.
All right, it's been a bad summer for mosquitoes, as we just heard, and our heat today cannot be helping.
KCAL meteorologist Olga Ospina joins us with our next weather forecast. And Olga, it's been really interesting. It's so hot out, but then we have that marine layer along the beach that we saw in that shot from Santa Monica.
Yeah, isn't that just different, right? Because we've seen so much sunshine, but we're starting to see a shift in those winds. We're going to start seeing more of that onshore flow, that marine layer returning, and you're going to feel it even more so as we head into tomorrow. But even some coastal areas already really seeing the difference. So want to show you what it looks like outside. Beautiful out there as we take a look at Malibu. Numbers are starting to drop, though, along the coastline. And here's a look at what is next in your forecast. It was still a hot one today. But again, coastal areas started to see the fog moving in already by the morning hours. It retreated, and then once again by the afternoon, that cooling trend kicks in a little bit more as we head into tomorrow with that onshore flow returning, and that's going to bring us the low clouds and the fog and also those cooler temperatures as we head into the new work week. So as we take a look at our satellite radar, really no big impact for most of us for inland spots, but along the coastline, we are seeing that fog moving in, and again, tomorrow morning, we could even see a dense fog advisory. Temperatures, though, inland spots still hot. 90s for Santa Clarita into Van Nuys. Low 90s in Lancaster also. We saw some triple digits this afternoon. Places like Woodland Hills, Van Nuys. So it was another day of very hot temperatures. We are still feeling 80s through parts of Orange County and Mission Viejo as well as Trabuco Canyon. And look at the Inland Empire. We are still very warm there in the low 90s from Ontario into Fontana, Paris, San Jacinto, and Beaumont. We're looking at 60s up in the mountains, and a heat advisory still in place for most inland spots really through 7 o'clock this evening. So that is set to expire, and this is a reason why. So that area of high pressure that's been bringing us all that heat, that is weakening as it pushes out of our region. And then by the early part of next week, this area of low pressure bringing some rain to the Pacific Northwest. We're not expecting any wet weather, but temperatures. So slowly we'll start cooling things down, and by next weekend, numbers are going to be a good 15 degrees cooler than what we are feeling this weekend. High temperatures tomorrow, despite that bit of a cool down, it is still going to be a hot one. Still plenty of 90s through Simi Valley into Burbank and parts of the Inland Empire, even still in the upper 90s for places like Chino. Taking a look at the 7-day, LA Inland Orange County tomorrow, 87, dropping to the low 80s on Monday, and then back into the 70s by Tuesday. As we head into the valleys, look at that. It is still going to be another hot one, 98 with some sunshine, and then temperatures 15 degrees cooler by Saturday, down to 83 degrees. Inland Empire, you'll be 15 degrees cooler as well, 95 tomorrow, and then by next weekend, you are back down into the low 80s. For the beaches, tomorrow, 77, turning to 74 by Monday, and keeping it in the 70s through the extended period. High desert 90s turning to 80s by Tuesday, and still in the 80s as we head into next weekend. For the mountains, temperatures go from 70s back down into the 60s. So cooler temperatures on the way. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Olga. All right, Darren Haynes is here with a preview of what's coming up in sports.
Yeah, Tom, I can't talk about you, Serene. Your UCLA Bruins, I have some good news. They're back at the Rose Bowl this afternoon, taking on Washington State. And the Bruins, I mean, the ground game, unstoppable. Their defense, even more impressive against Wazoo. Plus, the Red River rivalry, say that 5 times real quick, between Oklahoma and Texas once again lived up to all the hype. I'll explain why on the other side.
CBS Los Angeles, your home for Chargers football.
All right, welcome back. Listen, I just got back from the UCLA football game, and you got to see this. The Bruins are coming off their first loss of the season 2 weeks ago against Utah. The offense struggled in that one, scoring just 7 points with quarterback Dante Moore sacked 7 times and throwing a pick 6. So they look to bounce back against number 13th ranked Washington State this afternoon at the Rose Bowl. Now, second quarter, UCLA trails 3-0. 3rd and 7. Dante Moore, the young fella, connects with Logan Loya for the touchdown. They would miss the extra point. The Bruins up 6-3. But with the first half winding down, Moore makes a huge mistake. Throws an interception in the red zone. Cougars' Kapina Gushkin takes it all the way back for the pick 6. That's Moore's second consecutive game throwing a pick 6. With that, the Bruins trail at halftime 10-9. Third quarter now. UCLA up 12-10. Cameron Ward finds Nakia Watson for the 9-yard touchdown. And UCLA now trails 17-12. But the Bruins would step things up in the fourth. Keegan Jones takes the handoff, gets into the end zone, 13-yard TD. Bruins would fail on the 2-point try. They're still up, though, 18-17. And then the Bruins would get the ball back. Might as well give it to the running back. Jones, 22-yard TD. He only had 3 carries, and 2 of them were touchdowns. UCLA up 25-17. With less than 2 minutes to go, the Cougars have a 4th and 1 with the game on the line, and the Bruins defense steps up strong. UCLA upsets 13th ranked Washington State 25-17. All right, Red River rivalry, Texas. They won last year's meeting 49-0, so Oklahoma, they're looking for some revenge. Sooners up 20-17 in the third. Tawee Walker gets into the end zone for the touchdown. The Sooners go up 27-17. Now, it remained a battle in the fourth quarter. Texas down 27-20. Jonathan Brooks takes the handoff and breaks free. 29-yard TD, game tied at 27. Texas would add a field goal to take the 30-27 lead. So the Sooners, 23 seconds left on 2nd and goal. Dylan Gabriel connects with Nick Anderson. Sooners up 34-30. Now the Longhorns had a chance to respond with 2 seconds left. Quinn Ewers steps up in the pocket, launches it downfield. Yep. No good right there. The Sooners complete the upset to win the Red River Showdown 34-30. All right, during that highlight, Tom, you're looking at me. You're staring me down, man.
I was just thinking about the Oklahoma fight song, Boomer Sooner. I just kept.
Do you know it?
Boomer Sooner, Boomer Sooner.
Okay,
I'll be sooner
all right.
born.
Can we get back to UCLA? We don't need to hear.
Do we have a UCLA fight song?
Absolutely not. I
I'm
went
not
to Cal.
going to sing it.
Oh, okay.
I went to Cal, so absolutely not.
I'm glad my Bruins pulled it off. Thank you, Darren.
I am too.
Yes.
I love the Bruins. All right, thanks for watching KCAL News at 6.
We're always on at kcalnews.com, and we'll see you back here again at 11. Have a great evening.